The sun was dipping low over the Cornish coast, casting a molten gold glow across the rolling waves as music thumped through the air like a living heartbeat. Thousands of festival-goers, many with their faces painted and hair wild from the sea breeze, packed the main stage arena at Boardmasters Festival. It was the kind of evening where electricity seemed to crackle in the air, not just from the amplifiers but from the sheer anticipation. People were ready to see one of the most iconic voices of the early 2000s step back into the spotlight. Ready for nostalgia, for sing-alongs, for the joy of a pop legend reclaiming her stage. But before we continue, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for updates. When Nelly Furtado emerged, the reaction was instant and volcanic. The crowd roared, phones shot into the air, and camera flashes lit her up like she was walking a red carpet. At 47, she wasn't just stepping into a spotlight, she was owning it. Ruffled hot pants that shimmered under the stage lights, quirky boots that screamed confidence, and a glint in her eye that told everyone she wasn't here to play it safe. She was here to make a statement, and she did. But the statement that would send shockwaves far beyond the Boardmaster stage wasn't just about music. It wasn't even about the fashion that had fans tweeting furiously within minutes. It was about a single scathing line. A line that cut through the warm summer night like a blade and instantly made international headlines. "Are you mad? You think you can call me fat and I won't hear about it?" The audience froze for a split second before erupting into a mix of cheers, laughter, and stunned gasps. Nelly, mid-set, had just roasted Meghan Markle. Yes, that Meghan Markle in front of thousands. And she did it with the kind of casual confidence you only get from years in the industry and zero tolerance for petty insults. No one in that crowd could have guessed that the Boardmasters Festival would turn into the epicenter of a celebrity feud that night. They had come for the music, for the energy, for the sunsets over the Atlantic. Instead, they got a front-row seat to the moment when Nelly Furtado, the woman who once sang about being like a bird, decided to be more like a hawk, swooping down to deliver a talon-sharp clapback. Now, here's the question. What could possibly have led Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex and one of the most talked-about women on the planet, to allegedly call a globally loved artist fat? And what made Nelly respond so publicly? To understand that, we need to rewind a few hours, because the real story didn't start under the festival lights. It started backstage. The calm before the storm. The backstage area at Boardmasters was buzzing long before Nelly took the stage. Crew members were checking sound equipment. Catering staff were replenishing the buffet table. And the air was thick with that unique pre-show cocktail of excitement and nerves. Artists milled about, some chatting, some quietly going through vocal warm-ups. And in the middle of it all, Meghan Markle made an appearance. It wasn't entirely unusual for celebrities to pop up at Boardmasters. The festival had grown over the years to attract not only music lovers but also industry insiders, influencers, and high-profile guests. Meghan's presence, though, was different. She wasn't there as an official host, performer, or even in connection with any charity initiative. She was simply there. Eyewitnesses say she arrived flanked by 2 discreet security guards and was ushered into the VIP area, where she mingled with a few industry names and posed for a couple of private photos. Her smile was perfectly curated, the kind she's known for. Polished, media-ready, and slightly enigmatic. But according to multiple backstage sources, that smile didn't stay in place the whole night. Somewhere between her arrival and Nelly's call time, a conversation allegedly took place, one that would later ignite a social media firestorm. The remark that sparked a roar. Festival staffers claim Meghan was engaged in casual conversation when Nelly's name came up. Someone mentioned her outfit, possibly referencing the rehearsal look or teasing about her fashion choices. That's when, according to one insider who spoke to the press under anonymity, Meghan allegedly made a dismissive comment about Nelly's figure. She said something along the lines of, "She's really wearing that? At her age? She looks bigger than I expected," the insider alleged. Then she kind of laughed and changed the subject. It wasn't the kind of comment meant for the public ear. But the thing about backstage areas is walls have ears. And in the age of instant communication, whispers spread like wildfire. By the time Nelly was mic-checked and ready to go on, the words had reached her. Now let's pause here. Most artists in Nelly's position might have rolled their eyes, swallowed the insult, and gone on stage determined to let their performance speak for itself. But Nelly has never been most artists. This is a woman who took a break from the industry when she felt it didn't serve her anymore, who returned on her own terms, and who, at 47, radiates the kind of self-assurance that comes from knowing exactly who you are. So instead of ignoring it, she filed it away. And when the perfect moment presented itself mid-performance, she let it rip. The moment the air changed. Halfway through her set, just as the crowd was at peak energy and sweat was beating on foreheads despite the cool sea air, Nelly paused. She took a sip of water, paced the stage slowly, and glanced out at the sea of faces. Then she leaned into the mic and delivered the now infamous line. "Are you mad? You think you can call me fat and I won't hear about it." The effect was instantaneous. The crowd, many of whom didn't yet know the alleged backstory, erupted. Some laughed, some screamed, some just pulled out their phones to catch the moment. But the energy shifted. This wasn't just a performance anymore. It was a statement. Why this hit so hard? Celebrity feuds aren't new. Public clapbacks aren't new. But something about this moment hit a nerve with people. Maybe it was because Nelly was visibly thriving, fit, stylish, commanding the stage, and yet was still the subject of body commentary. Maybe it was because Meghan, who has built a public image around advocating for kindness and mental health, was accused of doing the very thing she speaks against. Or maybe it was because the moment felt real in a world where so much of celebrity culture is manufactured. Whatever the reason, the story was out, and it wasn't going back in the box. By the time Nelly's set ended, hashtags were already trending. Hashtag Nelly versus Meghan. Hashtag Are You Mad? Hashtag Boardmasters Clapback. Clips of the moment were being uploaded, stitched, and remixed with everything from dramatic music to TikTok memes. People who hadn't even attended the festival were suddenly weighing in, taking sides, and dissecting every syllable of Nelly's delivery. The middle of the introduction, social media takes over. The real magic or chaos, depending on how you look at it, of a moment like this is how fast it travels. In the first hour after the clapback, over 100,000 tweets mentioned Nelly's name. Within 2 hours, it had crossed into Instagram's trending topics, with celebrities liking posts that subtly threw shade at Meghan. Fans of both women clashed online. Meghan's defenders claimed the comment never happened, insisting it was a fabrication designed to make her look bad. Nelly's supporters countered with the argument that she wouldn't have said something like that on stage without reason. Meanwhile, Nelly herself stayed coy. No follow-up comment. No lengthy Instagram statement. Just a photo from the performance, captioned with a simple sparkle emoji. The end of the introduction. The stage is set. By the next morning, the story had made its way to international headlines. UK tabloids splashed it across their front pages. American entertainment shows ran segments replaying the moment, freeze-framing Nelly's smirk after delivering the line. Canadian outlets proudly reminded everyone that Nelly was their homegrown star, unafraid to stand her ground. And in the midst of all the noise, one thing became clear. This wasn't going to blow over quickly. Too many people had seen it, too many emotions had been stirred, and too many reputations were now on the line. As the dust from that Cornwall night begins to settle, the question remains. Was this simply a heat-of-the-moment jab from a performer defending herself? Or the opening volley in a feud that could redefine how two very different public figures are perceived? Whatever the answer, one thing's for sure. Boardmasters 2025 will be remembered for more than just its music. It will be remembered as the night Nelly Furtado turned the tables, and the mic, on Meghan Markle in front of the world. If you only saw the viral clip, you might think the drama began and ended with one sharp comment under the stage lights. But the truth is, moments like this are never born in isolation. They're the product of timing, environment, simmering tensions, and a mix of personalities that, once stirred together, create a combustible blend just waiting for a spark. That spark, in this case, happened to be Meghan Markle's alleged offhand remark, but the tinder had been laid long before Nelly Furtado's boots hit the stage. Boardmasters Festival has always been more than just another music event. Sure, it's got the ocean backdrop, the surfing competitions, and the laid-back coastal vibe that make it a magnet for beach-loving crowds. But in recent years, it's become something bigger, a cultural stage where music, fashion, activism, and celebrity collide. That's exactly why, in August 2025, the festival was buzzing with more than just anticipation for the headliners. It was a convergence of eras and egos. On one hand, you had artists like Nelly veterans making triumphant returns, leaning on their legacy but also proving they could still command an audience in a sea of Gen Z performers. On the other hand, you had figures like Meghan Markle, not a musician, but a celebrity with enough media gravitational pull to shift attention wherever she appeared. Add to that the kind of audience that thrives on exclusivity and behind-the-scenes gossip, and you had the perfect storm brewing. Why Nelly's appearance was already a big deal. Nelly Furtado's comeback wasn't a quiet one. After years away from the mainstream spotlight, she had been steadily rebuilding her presence. Intimate shows, surprise collaborations, social media teases. Fans were primed for something big, and Boardmasters was it. Her booking was a statement in itself. Here was a festival known for fresh acts and surf culture embracing a legend, proving that good music and stage presence didn't have an expiration date. In the days leading up to her performance, UK and Canadian media alike had been running nostalgic pieces about her career, revisiting hits like Promiscuous and I'm Like a Bird. Ticket sales had spiked, and anticipation was high. Her team knew this wasn't just another gig. They had worked meticulously on every detail, from the outfit choices that would flatter her figure and make headlines, to a setlist blending old favorites with fresh, unreleased material. Even her footwear, those now famous corky boots, was chosen to be both functional and a visual talking point. The stage design was equally thoughtful. Washed in rich sunset tones with projected ocean visuals, it was built to amplify her charisma. Every element was engineered to remind the audience and the industry that Nelly was not a relic from the 2000s but a relevant, in-demand performer with staying power. Why Meghan Markle's presence was so unexpected. Meghan Markle's attendance was, by all accounts, unplanned in the public eye. Her name wasn't on any official guest list released to the press. She wasn't scheduled for any panel discussions or charity tie-ins, the usual reasons public figures of her stature appear at festivals. Theories about why she was there varied wildly. Some speculated she was in Cornwall for private meetings and decided to stop by. Others whispered about a possible behind-the-scenes documentary project. A theory given legs by the fact that a small, discreet camera crew seemed to shadow her movements. Festival insiders hinted at another possibility. Networking. Boardmasters, despite its beachy vibe, is a hotspot for industry deals. Artists, producers, influencers, and brand reps mingle over champagne in the VIP lounge, away from the crowds. Meghan, known for her ability to insert herself into influential spaces, may have seen this as an opportunity to maintain relevance outside the royal drama that had dominated her headlines for years. Still, her presence in a backstage environment created an interesting dynamic. She wasn't there as an artist. She wasn't there as a sponsor. She was there as Meghan Markle, a name that draws attention and, inevitably, scrutiny. Backstage energy before the set. In the lead-up to Nelly's set, the backstage area was buzzing in that chaotic yet controlled way only live events can manage. Crew members shouted orders over radios. Artists ducked in and out of dressing rooms. Security kept a watchful eye on entry points. The scent of stage makeup and salty air mixed together in a strangely intoxicating atmosphere. This was the space Meghan entered, and by most accounts, she didn't blend in quietly. Eyewitnesses described her arrival as unmissable, not necessarily because she made a scene, but because she commanded attention the moment she stepped into view. Dressed in a sleek, neutral-toned outfit that stood out against the festival's casual, colorful fashion, she carried herself like someone accustomed to being noticed. Some backstage staff were excited to see her. Others were wary. Meghan's reputation precedes her, and in entertainment circles, It's no secret that interactions with her can be polarizing. People either gush about her charisma or quietly recount less flattering encounters. That duality meant her presence was a wild card in an already high-energy environment. The whisper network that changed the night. Here's where things start to heat up. In any tightly packed backstage space, gossip travels at lightning speed. A passing comment overheard by one person can reach 20 others within minutes. The alleged fat remark, according to multiple sources, didn't come from a grand announcement or a microphone slip. It came from one of those offhand comments people make when they think only a small circle is listening. If Meghan did indeed make the remark about Nelly's figure and outfit, she probably assumed it would never reach the stage. But she underestimated the festival grapevine. This wasn't a royal palace where everything could be tightly managed. This was Boardmasters, an environment with artists, crew, and staff who live on social media and thrive on sharing unfiltered tidbits. By the time Nelly was doing her final preset vocal warm-up, she had been told not once, not twice, but several times about the alleged insult. Different people relate it with varying degrees of emphasis, but the core message was the same. Meghan Markle had mocked her appearance. Why this moment landed so powerfully? Context is everything. A celebrity roast at an awards show is